When you walk through the freezer aisle at Walmart or Lidl, it feels like a world of endless choices. You're met with Italian gelato, premium Swiss-style quality, French elegance, and affordable American brands. Your family likely chooses based on price, the look of the package, and a brand loyalty that's been passed down through generations. What most of you don't realize is that 5 of these brands have systematically replaced expensive dairy ingredients with cheap industrial substitutes, all while maintaining the language and appearance of authentic ice cream. We're talking powdered milk instead of fresh milk, palm oil instead of cream, and water listed as the #1 ingredient. We are about to expose the 5 specific brands that use these cost-cutting formulas. We will show you the real production costs compared to their retail prices and point you toward 2 brands that actually contain what real ice cream is supposed to. Let's start with number 5, Countryside Creamery's Vanilla Ice Cream. You can find this in nearly every Walmart freezer across the entire country. A 1.5-quart container costs $4.49. People grab this ice cream because the price feels reasonable and the green packaging looks natural and trustworthy. On the review site Consumer Voice, it holds a rating of 3.2 out of 5 stars. That might sound acceptable until you start digging into the actual reviews. A staggering 45% of consumers mention an artificial flavor, a chemical aftertaste, or a gritty texture that doesn't melt smoothly. One reviewer put it bluntly, "It tastes like frozen vegetable oil with some flavoring. There's nothing creamy about it." Now let's check that ingredient list. Reconstituted skim milk, glucose syrup, palm oil, emulsifiers E471 and E322, and stabilizers E410, E412, and E47. Do you notice what's missing? There's no cream. It's called ice cream, but it contains no actual cream, just reconstituted powdered milk and palm oil to create the illusion of creaminess. Palm oil is used for one simple reason. It is 40% cheaper than real cream, and its texture does a decent job of mimicking a frozen dessert. The American Food Testing Portal, the Food Inspector, analyzed budget ice creams in 2024. Countryside Creamery received a score of 2.8 out of 5 for ingredient quality, which was the lowest score in the entire category they tested. The production cost for this recipe is estimated to be around $1 for the entire 1.5-quart tub. You, however, pay $4.49. That's a markup of over 271%. Even worse, 1 in 3 consumers reports digestive issues after eating this product. The combination of palm oil and chemical stabilizers can cause significant bloating in sensitive individuals. Annual sales for this single brand in the USA are approximately 4 million containers. At Walmart, the packaging for these products depicts idyllic, peaceful country landscapes. This imagery comes straight from the industrial food production playbook. Remove everything expensive while keeping up a wholesome, natural appearance. Most families never consciously made this choice. It just became normal because it's always there, right at eye level. Moving on to number 4, Gelatelli Stracciatella. This is a house brand you'll find at Lidl. A 1-pint container costs $2.99. Positioned as a premium Italian-style ice cream, you're tempted to buy it because the Italian name and the elegant packaging strongly suggest authenticity. On consumer review sites, it scores a 3.6 out of 5 stars, but a whopping 38% of people mention that it tastes more like frozen milk than actual ice cream. It completely lacks that creamy texture you expect. One consumer put it perfectly, "There's nothing Italian about it except the name. It tastes like sweetened frozen milk with imitation chocolate bits." A breakdown of the ingredients reveals the deception. Water is the #1 ingredient. Not milk, not cream, water. Then comes sugar, followed by reconstituted skim milk powder, glucose syrup, some unspecified vegetable fat, and emulsifiers. By definition, true Italian gelato must contain a minimum of 8% milk fat that comes directly from cream. This gelatelli product uses reconstituted milk powder and mystery vegetable fat, meaning it likely contains a maximum of 3 to 4% actual milk fat. The gelatelli brand is owned by Lidl's parent company, the Schwarz Group, a German conglomerate. Despite the Italian name and the packaging plastered with Italian flags, this product is manufactured in Germany or elsewhere in Europe using a German industrial recipe. There is absolutely nothing Italian about its production or its formula. The Italian identity exists purely for marketing purposes. Its production cost is estimated at around 55 cents. The retail price of $2.99 represents a markup of over 300%. You're paying a premium Italian price for a cheap German industrial formula. If the label honestly said, "Frozen milk dessert made in Germany with vegetable fats," would you pay $2.99 for it? This whole Italian charade exists because the answer is a resounding no. Number 3. Mövenpick Vanilla Dream. You can find this at major retailers like Kroger and sometimes even at Lidl. A 1.5 quart container costs $6.99, placing it squarely in the premium category. People buy Mövenpick because it sounds Swiss, sophisticated, and high quality. On Amazon, it has a 3.8 out of 5-star rating, but 30% of the reviews mention it's way too expensive for what you get, tasting similar to much cheaper store brands. One review said, "I paid twice as much for a Swiss brand, expecting luxury. What I got was the same industrial taste as the $3 options." Looking at the ingredients, you'll find cream, but it's fourth on the list after skim milk, sugar, and glucose-fructose syrup. Then you have dextrose, an emulsifier, mono and diglycerides, and a stabilizer, locust bean gum. So yes, there's some real cream, but the glucose-fructose syrup means a significant portion of the sugar comes from cheap corn sweeteners, and the emulsifiers are still there to cut corners, even with the cream. Here's the kicker that most Americans don't know. Mövenpick has been owned by Nestlé since 2016. That prestigious Swiss brand is now controlled by a massive international corporation. The factory producing this ice cream for the American market isn't in Switzerland. It's most likely in France or Germany, operating as part of Nestlé's vast European network. You're paying for Swiss prestige, but getting mass-produced Nestlé product. The production cost is estimated at around $1.50. A retail price of $6.99 means they're enjoying a markup of 263%. By contrast, local American craft ice cream makers often sell their premium 16-ounce pints, which have a much higher cream content, for somewhere between $7 and $9. Mövenpick, on the other hand, offers a larger 30-ounce container for about $7.99, but with significantly less cream. You are getting more volume, not more quality. The math is deliberately deceptive, creating the illusion of a good deal. The product contains 12 grams of sugar per 100 grams, which is considerably more than traditional, high-quality ice creams that typically have between 8 and 10 grams. Mövenpick sold approximately 2 million of these tubs across the United States in 2024 alone. That represents 2 million purchases where consumers paid a premium price for a subpar product. They were led to believe they were buying Swiss luxury, when in reality they were just getting a standard Nestlé formula. The Swiss brand name is simply licensed to create a psychological premium, convincing you to pay more for less. Coming in at number 2 is Alpine Crest Mountain Swirl, a store brand you can find at Walmart. A 1-quart container of this stuff will set you back about $5.99. Consumers often grab it because it's so widely available, and the name Alpine Crest cleverly suggests pristine, high-altitude quality. Customer ratings, however, tell a different story, averaging a mediocre 3.4 out of 5 stars. The most common complaints focus on a distractingly artificial flavor and a gritty, icy texture. One online review simply states, It tastes like straight chemicals. Another customer warned, "I got a splitting headache after eating this." A quick look at the ingredients list reveals the scam. The very first ingredient is water, followed by sugar, skim milk powder, glucose syrup, and coconut oil. Water is the primary ingredient in a product that has the audacity to call itself ice cream. Coconut oil is used as a cheap replacement for real milk cream or even palm oil. This is cost-cutting on a whole new level, as coconut oil is even cheaper than palm oil on the American wholesale market. The stabilizer used is pectin, often designated as E440, which is normally found in fruit jams. Its presence here is a huge red flag, indicating that the manufacturer is struggling to maintain a stable consistency because they've replaced proper dairy fats with water and cheap oil. In 2024, U.S. consumer protection agencies received over 340 formal complaints about Alpine Crest products. This accounted for 8% of all complaints in the entire frozen dessert category, even though the brand holds only a 4% market share. The production cost is estimated to be around $1.20 per quart, while it retails for $5.99. In these industrial frozen desserts, the coconut oil is usually hydrogenated to ensure it remains solid at freezing temperatures. This process creates hydrogenated coconut oil, which contains dangerous trans fats. These fats are proven to raise your LDL, or bad cholesterol levels, and over time, significantly increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. Alpine Crest presents itself as an all-American brand, but it's owned by a shell company called Heartland Foods, which was acquired by a massive private equity fund back in 2019. They ruthlessly jacked up prices by 18% between 2023 and 2025 without making a single improvement to the formula. Suddenly, this inferior product became the new normal, simply because it was everywhere. The standard for what we call ice cream unexpectedly shifted, and now a dessert made mostly of water and coconut oil is considered acceptable. And at number 1, we have the classic Breyers Natural Vanilla. You can find this in nearly every supermarket across the country, with a standard 48-ounce tub costing around $6.99. People have been buying this brand for generations because Breyers built a powerful reputation as a premium, all-American brand. For decades, its name was synonymous with quality and simple, real ingredients. But those days are long gone. Consumer ratings now barely hover around 3.5 out of 5 stars. If you dig into the reviews, you'll find that a staggering 42% of people all say the same thing. It's just not what it used to be. The quality has taken a nosedive. As one review put it, this was once a luxury brand. Now it tastes like any other cheap ice cream, just dressed up in a fancier package. The ingredients list tells the story of its downfall. Skim milk, sugar, corn syrup, coconut oil, buttermilk powder, and emulsifiers like mono and diglycerides. Notice the coconut oil, not cream. The buttermilk powder is there to add a slight dairy flavor while dramatically cutting costs compared to using fresh cream. This was once an iconic American brand, a household name owned by Unilever, but the corporation changed the recipe across the country in the 2010s to slash costs while keeping the premium price tag. They replaced the cream with cheaper fats, pumped up the stabilizer content, and completely re-engineered the product for profit, sacrificing quality in the process. It's the same packaging, the same nostalgic branding, but a completely different recipe inside. American consumers buying this in 2026 are getting the cost-optimized version from the 2010s, not the premium ice cream from the 90s that they still remember. The production cost is estimated at around $1, but it sells for $6.99, which means the profit margin is a staggering 400%. You are paying a premium price for a recipe that costs the same to make as a store's discount brand. The psychological angle here is incredibly powerful. Nostalgia is being weaponized to generate profit. Older generations of Americans remember this brand as a special treat for special occasions. That memory gets passed down to their kids, who buy it thinking they're continuing a family tradition. But the product changed while the brand stayed the same. The company sold over 3.2 million tubs in the United States in 2024. That's 3.2 million times someone paid almost $7 for coconut oil and stabilizers, believing they were buying premium, classic American vanilla ice cream. Most families never consciously accepted the recipe change. It just happened under their noses. Unilever optimized its margins and gambled that brand loyalty would be stronger than the reality of the ingredients. These 5 major brands all follow a similar pattern. Reconstituted milk powder replaces fresh milk. Palm oil or coconut fat takes the place of cream. Emulsifiers create the illusion of creaminess. Water becomes a primary ingredient. All the while, the marketing screams about heritage, authenticity, and quality, even as the recipes are loaded with industrial substitutes. Their profit margins range from 254% to 308%. Millions of American families are paying premium prices for cost-optimized formulas. But not everything in the freezer aisle is a deception. 2 brands are actually offering honest-to-goodness ice cream. First up is Homestead Creamery's Vanilla, available in select Kroger and Whole Foods locations. A 1.5-pint container costs $7.99. The ingredients list reveals the truth. Cream is the very first ingredient, followed by milk, sugar, and egg yolks. No palm oil, no coconut fat, no reconstituted powders. Their production is transparent, made right here in the USA with American dairy. Then there's Tillamook's Old-Fashioned Vanilla, which you can find in some independent grocery stores as well as larger Walmart locations. A 30.4-ounce container costs about $8.49. You'll see fresh cream listed as the very first ingredient, with whole milk in second place and cane sugar in third. A minimal amount of emulsifiers is used purely for texture stability, not as a cost-cutting replacement. Sure, the price is about 20% higher than those imposter premium